I'm Jonathan Jackson, Chief Executive.
Paul Middleton, Wildschut fanzine.
Damien Walker, I've come on behalf of Vital Latics.
Phil, that's me.
Organ Latics, the fanzine.
I'm Kieran, same as Liam.
I'm Joe, I'm just a Latics fan that won a competition on Twitter.
I'm Barry, we do the Vital Latics and we do a podcast as well.
George Shoulders, Cockney Latics.
Ian, one of the sports liaison officers. My son Benjamin wants to come on for nosy.
And I'm Dave, and I won a competition. I got a message this morning to get here, so I've travelled from Scarborough today. No pressure. Just waiting for the cake.
It's because you're the guy that we got a message that you couldn't come to me. Graham, is it?
So is that on Twitter, Damien? By Twitter?
Dave, yeah.
Dave, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, by Twitter this morning, yeah, so. Good times.
Right. Good stuff.
That wants to kick off?
Right.
One of the loud mouths, come on.
Are we maybe the start you anticipated? Are we where you thought we would be, or are we slightly worse off or slightly better?
We've just been discussing this, and I got the analysts at the start of the season done a 20-year review on League One. All the teams that won the league, the positions they were in, different analysts, and analysed everything basically of the league winners from the last 20 years. And after 11 games, you had to be in the top 10, and we were just. But I thought, well, that's a good benchmark for a team that's just been put together with so many new faces. I knew in my head we wouldn't start the season as I would like and as everyone would like. But when I seen those benchmarks, in the back of my head, I didn't tell the players or just the staff really knew. I thought as long as we're there, then I know we're on course to achieve our target. So yeah, I would say we're probably just where is acceptable. I'd love to be higher, but it's been a reasonable start, I think.
With that in mind then, Gary, would you be happy with the playoffs or not?
No, I think without a doubt we've got a squad that's more than capable of winning the league. And I still believe that, and like I said, it's a new squad, so it's going to take time, but I can see by performance in pre-season, if you were to ask me, I'd have said I'm a little bit worried, but we've got the players in, we've done a lot of hard work. Jonathan, the chairman, the club did a lot of hard work in getting the players in, and without a doubt I've seen most teams now, pretty much every team in the division, and we are squad wise, best team wise, best 11 wise, we should win this league.
How many players have you got in the squad now?
We had 27 at training today.
32.
We had 27 at training today, but there's a couple on loan that are close to the end. There's a couple of younger players I would like to get on loan that are training with us at the minute. So the squad will come down a bit, but a few weeks ago we had 11 injuries, and the squad looked pretty light because the injuries were so high. So
I was thinking, you can't know today what your best 11 is, could you? Because I don't think you've had your best 11 on the pitch at any one point.
Probably not, no. But I think you find that out. That, as I said, that's why we're a new group, and I'm still finding that out. I would say I know it now better than I did a few weeks ago. In my head now, I've got all the players that we've got. I've got a team that I would pick. But yeah, you find that out as you go with the players.
Yeah.
Yannick Wildschut, he's only on a 3-month loan. Are you looking to extend to maybe a full season? Jonathan, well, you must have a say on it, but Jonathan, are you looking to try and extend him to a full season?
We'd like to,
He's been
yeah.
very impressive.
Yeah, he's obviously only played 2 games, hasn't he?
Yeah,
can't be a better player than him this week, can we?
Made an instant impact.
He did. He's been very impressive in the games he's played.
Can we not say that publicly so that we can get him cheaper?
Yeah, well, when there was a 2-0 down at Berry, I was thinking, why in the middle of the because he was our standout player in there.
Yeah, well, we've signed him on loan, and we'll until January. We'd like to extend that to the end of the season.
He was somebody that we identified in the summer,
near
the end of the window, that Graham Barrow had seen him at Oldham, and he was somebody we identified then. It couldn't be done then. Middlesbrough wouldn't do it then, and then it became available, and we got on it straight away.
Is he available for a permanent move?
Potentially. Obviously things
He's
change.
a contract at the end of the season.
He is, yeah. So it's always possible. We'll have to see. Obviously that can't be done until January. We'll have to see where things are in January. But he's a player that, as Gary said, that we identified earlier in the season, and one we would like to keep up with Athletic as long as possible.
We're still trying to cut the wage bill, Jonathan, or are we where it used to be?
I think you've probably noticed that we've done quite a lot of that over the last 2 years. As our income has reduced via parachute payments from the Premier League, we've had to make sure that the total wage bill, which is predominantly players, has matched that. And we've done that each year. That the wage bill that we have matches the parachute payments, and certainly doesn't exceed it. But we've got this year and next year is our final parachute payment, and so we have to make sure that we're not overstretching the football club beyond that time. But no, as it stands at the moment, we're in the right position in respect to the ratio of turnover to wages.
What you're looking to do with Emyr Huws then, is he's not going to come back, I wouldn't imagine.
He's on a
Is it season on loan? Can he be sold in January? Are we looking to sell him?
Who's that, Emyr?
Emyr, yeah. Or can he come back?
The door's open for him to come back. I said at the time I wanted players that wanted to play for this club. I'm pretty sure you can see that. I can't fault any player for effort, application, every day's training, every game we've had. I think we can see we've got a group of players now that are fighting for the club. And the way they've came back, some games, the attitude and their character has been phenomenal. He was somebody that intimated he just didn't want to play straight away. He sought a meeting with myself and the chairman and said he didn't want to play. So
you're happy for him to change his mind?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
He's talent, he's
a very good football player, but I'm sure on your part you wouldn't want people going out playing in a Wigan Athletic shirt that didn't want to.
That's why I was kind of the view, based upon what he'd said, would the group of fans and yourselves accept him again if he changed his mind?
I would accept him back, yeah, without a doubt.
Okay. Based on what you've said about that, last season, one of the problems that we can see from outside is what you've said about harmony and players wanting to fight for the club. Is it a case where that wasn't happening last season? One of the parts of our demise last season was because of that, and you feel that you've got that now, where you are now?
I feel I've got it now, yeah. 100%. I think I've got it, and it was a big issue in signing players with the right character, and we met probably 90% of the signings we made. I met them before we signed them to see what they were like. As I knew what they were like as football players, I wanted to see what they were like as people. So we have got good characters. To answer the first bit, last year I don't think so. I was in that dressing room with them, and as players were trying, but confidence and belief in football is a big thing.
Yeah.
And when it started to go wrong under Uwe, then the new manager comes in, and it's just like a snowball effect, and it's very, very hard to change that then at that point, and it just got worse and obviously ended in relegation. So I wouldn't say the players weren't trying last year. I just think
Could you see something going on around you all with that, and did you feel kind of helpless to do anything about it, or as club captain, or?
A little bit, yeah. I tried my best.
Yeah.
I spoke with Uwe and Malky on loads of occasions. I spoke with Graham, the staff, I spoke to the players, so without a doubt I was part of it. I tried to help it, but ultimately couldn't play and help it, and didn't have that big a say in changing it. But it was hard to watch without having that much input to it. Yeah.
When you say you've looked at players and you've talked to them and seen what they're about before you've signed them, have you come across any that you've decided not to sign because you didn't feel that they were right based on your meeting them?
That's a good question.
We don't need names.
Of course we need names.
Does that happen? You must get a feeling.
It can happen, yeah. It can happen.
Does it happen with you?
It can happen.
Gary, you said about you think you've now got a squad full of character, and we've shown that from McCann from behind against Chesterfield, again against Bury, to a certain extent against Crewe as well. It's frustrating for us. It must be frustrating for you that we have to go 2 down before we see that character Why aren't we seeing that from the first minute, not the 81st?
I don't know. It's very frustrating for me. It's something we've spoke about. The staff, the players, we're trying to change that. I don't know why it is. I think we can play our game. I think is improved, and what I want. I think we can be a bit more positive in our play area in the game. By that I mean the attacking intent has to be greater. I think we've got control of games now, but we need to have more intent when we're getting crosses in. We need more people in the box. When we're close to the box, we need to shoot more, and that can help us.
But surely if they're going out with those instructions from you, if it's not happening, there must be a reason why it's not happening. Because as you said yourself, you've seen most teams now. We haven't seen anybody any better than us. Yeah. Even teams that have beaten us haven't been any better. Just that we've been poor defensively on a couple of occasions or whatever.
I think that's down to the new group again. They're still finding out about each other within the game, and that's probably just the new group coming together, that they're not 100% sure, but you can see the abilities there in spells, but they've still not quite got that belief that they can go and win these games.
So if we're still in 10th in another month or whatever, 11th, whatever we are now, at what point would you think, well, hang on a minute, I need to change something?
We won't be 10th.
You don't think?
No.
Write it down. We've been inconsistent though, so if I know what you're saying about a new group of players.
We're 6 games unbeaten though as well, so.
Yeah, we haven't won 6 games, haven't we?
No, but it's the most consistent we've been this year.
Is that?
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a massive improvement on the last 2 years. I'm not saying it isn't. We are all have to win games again.
I agree with you, and again, a disappointment for us as we drew those 4 games. But I think even the teams we played, if they're honest, would say they were lucky to draw them. And I think I can see that when you're unbeaten, it gives you confidence. Like I said last year, when you lose games, that goes the other way. So this year, getting that run now, as long as we had wins on the back of it, then it becomes a really good run, and we can build on that. So it's something, yeah, we want more, but we have to be happy with a stable period in terms of results, with really good performances in my opinion.
Those 4 draws, could they quite easily been wins? We've got Will Grigg, who's a proven goal scorer at this level. Is it frustrating to see him? Was he injured again, or did he get picked?
He was with Northern Ireland.
Is it frustrating for you, like, as a manager? You know he's a top goal scorer, and we've been lacking that. That could have been the difference between our draws and wins. Is it frustrating for you to see him get picked for Northern Ireland and then not be involved in any of the 2 games?
It is a little bit, yeah. I mean, to play for your country for anyone is a great achievement, and getting picked is a good achievement. But
when he's getting overlooked,
when he's not involved, then yeah, it's quite frustrating that we could have had him. But you know, the rules are he has to go.
But with that, you give Grant Holt the opportunity on Saturday, didn't it? And I thought when he came on, he made a massive difference. His experience, he roughed that Cameron, the centre half, up a little bit, which Geordie hadn't been doing earlier in the game, and he made a massive difference. So for yourself, that must have been a bit of a bonus to the way he came back and his attitude.
It was brilliant, yeah, and I thought he was very similar on the Tuesday.
Crew was better.
I thought he was excellent.
I thought he was brilliant.
Doesn't he? Like the break.
It was nasty. It was everything that you don't want an opposition striker to be nasty and getting stuck in and upsetting the defenders, which we've not had enough of.
No, he's a good player. He's played at a very high level.
Yes.
He also knows this level. He knows he can score goals at this level.
Yeah.
I think he's got the bit between his teeth. He looks hungry. He's came and seen me and said he wants to be involved, and I've said for day one I want him involved, so he needs to keep working hard, and he'll get his shot.
Just on Will Grigg, was it in the back of your mind, obviously in the summer, that you were going for Grigg, and obviously there was the chance that he was going to get called up internationally quite a bit? That's happened 2 out of the last, 4 or 5 weeks. Plus Craig Davies' injury record. If you got them 2 down as your first choice pairing almost, the possibility that how often are we actually going to see the 2 of them together? Was that considered?
Yeah, it was. I think when you sign every player, you have to consider, different things. We knew Craig Davies' hamstrings, had the potential to go. I think the physios and medical department have managed him really well. They got him, I think he played 3 or 4 90 minutes in a row, which he'd never done at Bolton and the whole time he was there. So for that I've got to give them credit. we knew he might get these, injuries to his hamstring, and we've dealt with it. We thought he'd be back quicker. He had a slight setback, but he's back, he's training, and he's available. So again, we need to be cautious and build him up, but we'll see them both in the park pretty soon, I would think. Because I think they showed the Scunthorpe night what damage they can do.
I think that when he has played, he's been our best player.
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's been excellent.
Particularly the Chesterfield game when we came back, he was wild in front of He was a beast. He was brilliant.
Again, he's somebody that in this league, I think at times he's unplayable. Well, he's too quick. He's too strong.
Yeah, him and Yannick, for example, plus Grant with the bit between his teeth, and you don't want to play them, do you?
Have we got any defenders?
We don't need them.
What's the thinking behind Tim Chow at fullback? Is it just injuries? Why he's playing there?
John Joe had to go back. Everton called him back, so we were then light in that position. Tim is somebody that I think could play anywhere. I think when he comes on, he shows desire. He's got great energy for that role at wing back especially. So he's somebody that's filled in there. Donovan Daniels has done it pretty well as well. We got Donald Love on loan, who hasn't really had the opportunity because of international as well. So it's mainly because he cover in that area. So he's somebody that for me could play anywhere because of the attitude that he has.
Do you have a preferred formation?
I don't really. I get asked this quite a lot, and I think we've played every formation possible this year, even 4-4-2, which I hate. We've played it against Chesterfield and scored 3 goals in 9 minutes, so what do I know? But if I was to pick one, I would say 3-4-3. If we can play that and play it right, then for me it's one of the most attacking, yet you can be defensively solid. It just gives you so many options to play from that. With the players we've got, I think we could play that.
As a defender, Gary, is the defending disappointed you at times this year?
It has, obviously. It's because it's cost us games, and I've been disappointed for the players because they've played so well and took so much on board. But I spoke about this the other night, and it can be difficult that when you play a certain way and the game's 50-50, then you have to defend on occasion. When we're playing now, the game's not 50-50. On Saturday we had 66% possession, so you're defending less than you're normally being asked to defend, and that it can be hard to process because you might never have to head a ball for 10 minutes, then all of a sudden a cross comes in, and it can be hard to adjust. The emphasis for us has been on playing and keeping the ball, and we've been in so much control that on occasion I think the concentration hasn't been there, and it's something we're working on, that when they're asked to defend in the short periods that we are, then they have to be better than they've been to help us win the game.
Does that not put more pressure on you when you're down in the game to actually take the lead rather than go 1-0 down, and that will put you in a... I think it's just going to take one of those games where we win 1-0, then we'll get on.
I said that again on Saturday. As well as we played in the first half, it shouldn't have been 1-0 at half time. It should have been 2 or 3-1. So as well as we're playing, we need more intent in our attacking and more intent in when we're defending. When we have to defend, we have to do it with aggression and be ruthless. The 2 boxes are killing us. Everything in between that at the minute is pretty good.
Can I just follow on from something you've said there, what you touched on it? Paul Dickoff, Neil Harris, David Dunn and Flitcroft again on Saturday have all said in post-match comments that they're happy to let you have possession, let us have possession.
And you believe that?
Well, no, I've watched the games, and to some extent I do believe it, that we haven't done enough with the ball, with that possession, and they've been happy to sit there with it because we've not been hurting them. Now, that is testament to say it happened at Bury on Saturday till half time, to the last 15 minutes, and then you changed things, and we went at the team at Bury then, and I saw it in the second half at Crewe. We absolutely annihilated them on play. We were far superior technically, and we ripped them to pieces. That all the foul count at Bury on Saturday was based on they couldn't deal with us at a particular time. Flitcroft's mourning that the referee influenced the game. His players influenced that game with silly, petulant fouls because they couldn't handle us at that time. We really tore into them.
So what do you believe?
And what I'm wondering is, are we not doing enough of that and getting it teams a little bit more because they're happy to sit back and let us come at them because we're not hurting them?
They're happy to sit back because they can't get the ball. That's first and foremost. That's why they're sitting back. I think every team that's played us at the DW has changed their formation from the previous game. So we watched all the games today on Colchester. We've almost got to the point where like this is getting a bit pointless because they're going to change, because every team that's came has changed to set up to play against us. And I've never known a manager, any manager, to say they're happy when the other team's got the ball. They can't be happy, because they need to do two things to score a goal. They need to get the ball back, then score a goal. We just need to score a goal at that point.
But all these teams have scored. That's what the point's at.
That's the frustration from us.
They've all scored. They're happy to sit and...
But don't be fooled by these managers. They have to say...
Each manager speak.
Yeah, they have to say something. I mean, there's no way he was happy on Saturday. No way. That a Bury team at home, they got in our box 20 times in the whole game, they got 5 crosses. There's no way he can be happy. He'll be delighted with the result, because they shouldn't have won the game, but there's no way he can be happy. That's papering over the cracks for me.
So you're happy with the amount of possession that we are having without being more penetrative?
No, I'm not happy either.
Yeah.
I'm sure I said that after the game. I said I was disappointed, I think, lads. It was the first word I said. But in terms of how we're playing, yeah, I'm happy. Cause I have to look at it objectively and say, you know, this is good, but the key areas that need to be better are, we need to, I wouldn't say create more, we need to be more ruthless in our finishing. We had 19 shots away from home. 19 shots, that's a lot. I don't know how you can create more than 19 shots.
Until the last 15 minutes, I can't remember Bury's goalkeeper really making a save.
We had Reece James had a shot first half that went wide. Perkins had a shot wide. Yannick had a free shot in the middle of the goal that he never made contact with. We had opportunities. I'm not saying we had clear-cut chances. Again, that's difficult. Playing against a defensive low block is very difficult to break that down, and that's what these teams are doing, and we have to put up with that and deal with it. But by scoring the first goal in these games, the game will open up, and that's my frustration, especially the Fleetwood game at home and the Crewe game at home, where we scored first and they opened up, and something I think will improve it. They chased the game by opening up. That's when we should then kick on and win the game more on the counter attack, and we at that point struggled. And again, I think it's the new group coming together. Something changes on the pitch. You can see they're not able to react as a team, and when that happens in the future, I think you'll see as soon as teams try and gamble and go for it, then we should score more and hurt them on the counter attack.
Gary, in terms of opening other teams up, where are we up to with Francisco? Because he looks to me one that is that player that's going to play that final ball through. Or
he can. He's been a great find. He was somebody again from 21's games. Joe I'd seen him in 21's games and his contact with Joe Royal, and I had actually played against him in one, and I remembered him. He's a great footballer.
Remind me of Wilson Palacios.
He's
absolute.
When he's at his best, he has lapses in concentration defensively, and he's had his injury, which has kind of hampered him. But he's available. He's working really hard, and he is somebody that can unlock defences. He's got that killer pass that he sees it and he plays it. You know, I think sometimes players see it and maybe don't. He goes for it, and it's something that can help us open up teams.
He's not afraid to try something different as well.
No, he's not.
What you need.
He's a confident player. Yeah, he's a confident young lad, and he's done very well.
He's a very exciting player, and again, it's somebody who's contracted in the summer. Is there any possibility again?
It's always possible. Unfortunately, I can't predict the future, but we want the best players at Wigan Athletic.
Very exciting player.
I think when you get them into your club and they work with somebody like Gary and they get to like the club, you're at an advantage when it comes to signing them. So that's all we can do at this stage, because they're contracted to somebody else. We've just got them on loan.
Was Roberto involved in that?
Well, he's Everton's manager.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, but I mean, was that helpful to us? Did we use Roberto there, or?
Yeah, I spoke to Roberto obviously about him, and John Joe, and he spoke to Joe Royal, deals with the players where they go on loan. Joe Parkinson has a good connection with him, so we used our connections and got them in, and they both done well. We were disappointed John Joe went back, but again, when they're on loan, it's their prerogative that they do what they want with them.
Talking about players coming in, Gary, we're starting now seeing young local players coming through. I mean, Jonathan will tell you this is a subject that comes up in all these meetings that we have. We've never really produced that many young players of our own before to bring through. Now that we're starting to do that, is that a conscious decision, or has it been a conscious decision, or is it just not luck, but is it just the fact that we've happened to stumble on one or two that are going to make it now?
I don't think it's luck. No, I believe in giving people a chance, and Tim Chow was somebody that over the years I trained with him and played with him. I've seen him, as I signed, he was just a young YTS, and seen him grow up, and I was always amazed at how he didn't get an opportunity, especially in the last year to 18 months.
Who were managers, did you know what they were doing?
I thought he must have had some opportunity, and he knows he's got a long way to go to be the complete player or the finished article, but his attitude, the way he trains, his energy levels, he's somebody that I just had to put in the team. I didn't put him in the team because he was a homegrown lad, or I put him in the team because he was a player that should have been playing. Yeah,
he probably needed it at that time, wasn't he?
And he's somebody that deserved his contract, and again has put in some good performances this year. He's been hampered by injury. Jordan Flores, another one, I put him in the team because he deserved to be in the team, and he needs to work hard to keep improving and stay in the team. That's what I said to both of them. Their challenge now is you've got your debut now, you need to be playing every week. That's your next challenge and benchmark as a footballer. But I hope there's more, because I think it's important that you have local lads. I think it's important you have young players, because when you give them an opportunity, they will do everything for you. So it's something I'd love to see in the future as well.
Can I just ask then, how do we identify our young players then within our community?
Well, I think it's no coincidence that 4 or 5 years ago, we started investing more and more in our academy. It's something that we've never really done. We focused on our first team, and so that's why I think Leighton Baines was probably the last player that we brought through. And don't get me wrong, focusing on bringing in talent from overseas that were the finished product enables us to stay in the Premier League, but it's not really a sustainable model. It's more desirable, and we'd all prefer to bring our own players through, develop our young players. So we invested in recruitment of players, we invested in coaching staff, facilities. We have more coaching time with the players, and that's coincided with the FA's academy programme, the EPPP. So it was at the same time that we started investing in academy players. A lot of other clubs did as well. And so I think we're just seeing the start of the return on that with Tim Chow and Jordan Flores. And actually now, if you watch the under 18s, we've got, I think, a really talented group of players at under 18s who are developing all the time. And again, you know, if you go back 5 years ago, they were 12, 13-year-olds, so they've had that programme for the last 5 years. As far as identifying younger players, we do a lot of work in the community. So we're in something like 46 schools in the Wigan area, primary schools, where we deliver PE and football. So we're getting them at 5, 6, 7. We're actually getting access to boys to identify them. We also have scouts throughout the region, also in Liverpool and Manchester, and we also pick up boys that maybe have failed at some of the Category 1 clubs, the bigger clubs at Liverpool, which we've always done. We've always picked up players who perhaps not made it at Liverpool and Everton and Manchester United and City, and developed them as our own players. So people like Leighton Baines, Callum McManaman, and Louis Robles is another one who's at Liverpool. So there's various ways in which we can identify players, but the competition is absolutely fierce. We know that the big clubs are all around the Wigan area. They've got development centres around the Wigan area, and we have to be as creative as we can to identify those players, and once we get them here, to give them the best experience that we can. And to me, as a as a chief executive and as a parent, I know what's important for those boys. And we can't compete on facilities at the moment. We can't compete, with league status. But what we can do is give them the best coaching that we can do. And it's all about people. It's all about getting the best people. And I know you worked in the academy for some time, didn't you?
Yeah, the academy's excellent. I think we're always trying to improve it, facilities wise, and the level of player that we bring in. But when I worked the last kind of year and a half, I've been going there quite a lot, and the coaches are excellent. The way it's getting run, I think that, like Jonathan says, it's a long process. You don't see quick returns within the academy, because the kind of 10-year-olds now are only going to come through in the next 8-9 years. So you have to be patient, but we're starting to see some players come through the system.
Sort of off the football pitch of it, and I'm looking at it more of a community sort of argument. I work in schools, and I think that the children you're talking about that have got the best facilities and the bigger clubs are looking for them, and the parents got the best for them, these are really advantaged children that have got them opportunities. We've got a lot of money in schools in our more disadvantaged areas where these children don't get these opportunities. They might be, but there's a lot of money in school budgets for sports, and it might be worth just doing a little bit more work with the primary schools. I mean, 46 primary schools is nothing, is it?
No,
and we've got hundreds of children around the borough that do not get them opportunities.
No.
You may be missing a diamond. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and you're right. I think we'd like to work in every primary school, and that's our objective, to work in every primary school in Wigan, and we're on our way to do that. Last year, I think we worked with 6,000 children. Half of those are girls, so we've got 3,000 primary school age boys that we've got first access to in PE. So we are doing a lot of work. We intend to do a lot more. Within our community programme, we run programmes such as Kicks, which is where we deliver football programmes in perhaps less affluent areas, and we run 4 of those in the Wigan area. And last year, I know for a fact that we were able to sign a player from one of those schemes, which is a first for our community trust. And if he then continues his development and becomes a first team player, that'll be fantastic for the whole club and the community trust. So I agree. There is some.
Schools get access to this kind of work that you're doing in the community, then, and the schools that are not involved?
Yeah, it's funded by the Premier League. The Premier League, I can't remember the name of it, but it's all funded by the Premier League, and I know the government have just announced that that's going to continue and be enhanced. So if any school contacts our community trust, and the contact details are on our website, in our programme, we're constantly out there trying to attract more schools. We can deliver that free of charge. And for a certain amount of time, and it's a really good way of giving something back to the community, but also as a byproduct, perhaps identifying young players at a very young age.
I'm a school governor and applied to governors, by the way.
All right, no.
So I'll be going back into all my schools.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll give you the details.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Are there players in the academy now that you can see going through to the first team in the next 2-3 years?
There is some, yeah. As I said, I worked with the 15s and 16s mainly in the last couple of years, and they're now the first year YTSs, and there's a few in that group that are, as Jonathan said, it's a good group that have the potential to be first team players, but it's such a long way away from being that you can never tell with injury and loss of form, and they're still growing up as men, so it's still a long way off, and you have to be patient with them.
Is there a risk though as well that should we get promoted, we will get promoted to the Championship, but should we then do well, is there a risk that we'll stumble back into this buying players in rather than developing our own? It's easier to do, isn't it? It's easier.
I certainly hope not, but that, would you rather a team of homegrown players or a successful team? You have to get the balance right as well.
Most of our greatest success with players have been uncovering gems from various places. We made a lot of money on players by doing that.
Not always from the local area.
Mainly from Central America in a lot of cases. Has that gone to something that we won't be doing anymore? Or do we still look down those routes to find players because we have, there's no getting around it. That has been much more successful for Wigan Athletic than Academy has. Crew Academies produced these players for years and years, but it's not benefited them as much as what discovering the likes of Valencia. I know he wasn't necessarily like that, I'd been seen other than that, but the way we find those players like that nobody we took a chance on, and we were brave to take chances on some of these players.
But Valencia just played in the World Cup, and as a Premier League side, you can attract players that play in the World Cup, and players like Valencia and Palacios and Figueroa were all internationals. With Premier League status, you can attract them to Wigan. It's a lot harder to do that for a number of reasons when you're a League One club. One of which is that the work permit rules have changed, and that it's harder to sign overseas players now as an English club. So the landscape has changed from those days, but I'm sure that one day we'll be back in the Premier League, and we will be hopefully in the market for those kind of players again.
Where are we at with the restructuring of the scouting team then? Because that needed to happen in the summer.
Yeah, we did that over the last 6 months. We've changed the whole way that we recruit players, and that's been done. And it's an ongoing, continuous process.
You talked about this database. Is it based on kind of what Southampton are doing? Or?
Yeah, it's just recording players' performance, and not just one game. It's over the course of months and months, maybe a year, that you can see they are consistent, or they're up and down but they're improving, or whatever. You get a better idea of where they are, rather than just going and see one player on one day and taking it as a given. That's where you can make mistakes. So it's having more information about the players that we sign.
A different tack. Promotion obviously is number one idea, and no manager would ever say that they don't want to win every game. Johnston's 8 trophy. How seriously do you really take that? Do you think, we all love another trip to Wembley, so basically what I'm saying is, are you likely to field strong teams throughout, or what?
I would love another trip to Wembley, and the competition rules are you have to play 6 players.
Yeah.
I would say we'll make the 5 changes every game,
right.
But I would still say it's a competitive team that we'll put out in the park, like we did against Crewe. We made the 5 changes, but it was still a strong side, and it was still players who would be playing in our first team barring injury or loss of form. So it'll be competitive teams that we put out.
Yeah, it's only 4 games from Wembley, isn't it?
Chris McCann going off at Crewe, not leading up to that so early, was that part of tactical because you had to start with him and you didn't really want to prolong it?
It was, yeah. I wanted to start Don Cowie and play him for an hour.
Yeah.
But we had to play the 6, so I played Chris and took him off after half an hour and got on. Yeah.
I think he had a minor groin strain as well, didn't he?
Well, I said he had a minor groin strain, but like I said, don't always believe in managers.
He's got ready to play again. Is he close to?
He's close, yeah. He probably still needs some game time before he starts the first team game.
How good can he be in this league?
He can be excellent. I played with Don for Scotland, some big internationals, so he's played at a very high level, and at full fitness he can be very influential to this team.
What's his best position? Because I always sort of remembered him playing for Cardiff a bit further forward, and then he kind of sat, didn't he?
He's a midfielder, yeah. He's just an all-round midfielder, would be his best position.
Does that apply to Chris McCann? Because I know he's been playing left-sided defence. Do you see him in more an advanced midfield role?
I think Chris McCann at left centre-back is very, very good in that position, because he's somebody that brings lots of energy to it. He's a midfielder, so he's a better footballer than your average centre-backs, and he's somebody that we can really, I think you've seen in some games, when he attacks from that position, then it's a really dangerous weapon. That we've got a centre-back that can bring the ball out and create overloads in midfield and start passes and plays from there. And I've said to him, I think he's in that position at the stage of his career is probably his best position at the minute. But again, when we play him, and it's something I like, the flexibility that if we put a team with him in it can quite easily change to 4-3-3, or without making a sub. We have that flexibility by certain players being able to play in different positions, which I think helps. I think teams preparing to play us don't know what formation we're going to play, when we even put the team sheet in, I think they'll still struggle to say, well, he can play there, he can play there, you know, and it's difficult. We've had it ourselves that you get a team in and you have to put the team together and try and come up with it, and I'm sure teams playing against us will struggle to predict what we're playing.
Given the number of changes that we've made this year in terms of the personnel, are you disappointed that Emmerson never stayed?
I was, yeah. He was somebody I had played with and respect a lot for what he'd done for this club, and we made an offer for him, as we did Gai Tang Bong, Jermaine Pennant, Kim Bo. We made offers for the players that we didn't want to leave the club, and they chose to go elsewhere, so I was disappointed they all left.
Can I just ask about Kim Bo? The rules that you said about there was change of foreign players, would he have qualified to stay with us because he was already a player? Because once he moved on, he was going to Blackburn, weren't he? They weren't able to sign.
No, whereas
would it have still affected us exactly the same if you would have accepted a contract?
We had to go to an FA tribunal to get his work permit in February when he was released by Cardiff.
Yeah.
And we had to prove that he was a higher standard than we could get in this country.
Yeah.
Because the country that he played for didn't fit the criteria that the FA have, which is it's going to be the top 50 international teams, or it's got to be an exceptional talent. There's various criteria. We went to the tribunal and successfully argued that he was the right calibre of player to bring into the game. It's there to protect young English players, to give them more of a chance to play, as opposed to bringing in more and more foreign players. That's the FA's way of protecting that situation. The rules changed in the summer, so it has become a lot harder.
What I'm saying is, if he'd have accepted a contract with us, would we have lost him anyway? Because he didn't meet that criteria anymore. Because he's not met the criteria at Blackburn.
No, he was out of contract with us.
Yeah.
So I think he would have been able to stay with us.
Yeah.
I think, but obviously he couldn't sign for another club.
Yeah.
Gary, you made a change in net with Huws coming through Richard. Was that a form thing, or was it on the advice of Mike Paul? I know he said Mike does bugger all when he got sent off, but was that his advice, or was it your conscious decision? Do you think Richard was out of form of it, or?
That was just tongue in cheek. He does a little bit. It was something I thought was affecting the team, the goals we were conceding. I spoke to Rich about it. He's took it great. He's working really hard to get back in, and as I said when we signed Huws, I'd have no problems playing him, so they're both in competition to play, and since Huws came in I think he's done pretty well, although we've still conceded poor goals.
His distribution is amazing, isn't it, Huws?
I think he's just brought experience and a calmness to the team that I felt we needed, and I think we have had that. Again, we've still conceded 4 goals in the 3 games he's played, so it still needs to get better, but he's done well since he's came in.
He looks really fit as well for 40. Do you think is he just signed a 1-year deal, or is it?
He's just signed a 1-year deal.
Has he spoke about maybe keeping him on for?
I'm not sure. We'll look at that at the end of this. He is obviously 40 or 41.
His son's in Bolton Academy, I think.
Yeah, but he's an excellent professional. We've seen that as soon as he came in. You don't play the games he's played if you're not an excellent professional, and I think that's helped as well, that the younger players can look up to him.
Gary, what are your thoughts on set pieces? Because I think at both ends there's been bits of issue. I know said that at 4 corners didn't beat the first man, and at the other end conceding a lot of second phases of sort of corners and set pieces. So is that something that you?
It's something we've worked a lot on, and it's something we'll continue to work on. The attacking ones are very frustrating. We've came up with different ones, and it's been hard. Some of them early part, if we'd done them properly, they've worked. We had one that was a block.
The one that Max, the free kick that Max did at weekend, where did he know he was even involved in it?
He was meant to be involved.
Was that not a replication of the England women's team though?
It was.
That what you're trying to do?
We watched that on Friday morning.
Yeah.
We watch set pieces all the time. We show them set pieces. We do them out there, and we get them on the pitch, and it goes like that. He told me that he told them to play it to Yannick because we are the two of them. And Perks, who's obviously never going to take the free kick, runs up, and it's meant to be like we've made the mistakes to switch them off. Then we knock it to the side.
So what are your thoughts on set pieces? Because I remember Roberto didn't like the idea of the lottery.
I remember that. Every goal I scored is not counting according to Roberto.
So what are your... I know we're trying to play.
It's a goal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's
massive. It's where most goals are scored.
And the very scored there only 2 goals. Yeah.
But I think what you see with Bury is the delivery is the most important aspect of it. If you get the delivery, then it almost doesn't matter what you do in the middle. You're going to have people there, so they then need to get in the end of it. But our delivery's not been good enough. I think the boys that have took it will admit that, and we're trying to come up with different ways. I think we work really hard at it. The staff work really hard. The one we done for Michael, I think it was last home game, where we played short and Michael's in the box free and he just doesn't pull the trigger and shoot. So something that you might not have noticed is actually coming off without the goal at the end of it. That's when you'll see, oh, that was a good.
How good can he be, Jacobs?
He can be anything he wants to be. He's a fantastic player. And he's somebody that I think doesn't know he's a fantastic player yet, and there's little bits of his game that he needs to improve, but he's been superb so far.
Does that mean there's a risk that if we don't look for whatever reason that people like him may well move on?
I don't think so. No, I think they've signed long-term contracts. The
doesn't really matter anymore football. It seems though, that does it?
Well, it doesn't know, but you get money for them in the end if they want to go. So
he's also had an experience of being at a bigger club and not being able to get in the team and wants to play and himself.
He does, yeah. That was what impressed me about him, was his hunger to come and play and take us back up. And I think most of the players I signed, that was the main thing I wanted, was the hunger to get us back up. I liked when they said, I don't want to be in League One, and I said, great, neither do I. Let's go there for a season and get us back up. So they've all got a hunger to get us out of this division.
Do you interview loan players in the same way that you would interview potential full-time signings? Or
I've not met the loan players.
What do you talk to them about? What do you going to give us?
I've called the loan players before we signed them and spoke to them and seen what their thoughts were, but I've not met the loan players. No, it's obviously different. You're not investing a great deal of money, and if it doesn't quite work, then it's not going to cost the club a lot of money. I think when you're investing, when you're paying a fee, transfer fee, and then obviously wages on top, then you're investing a lot of money from the club that you need to make sure that investment is sound.
Is there anybody that we've sent out on loan you see as being part of the future for us?
Lee Nicholls?
Well, that's where I've gone to.
Yeah, Lee Nicholls, definite. Yeah, he was somebody that in the start of the season was competing with Rich for the number 1 spot, and I said to him, if it is Rich, then I'll try and look after your career and give you the opportunity to play for Wigan in the future, because I've seen for the last 2 years his career is not went anywhere.
Well, what happened with him? Because 18 months ago he was our first choice goalkeeper, and he had a dip in form, and he just seemed to have gone backwards.
He was first choice in a period where Ali and Scott were both in.
But he was playing well though. Everybody was happy.
He was. He made the mistake in the European game.
After that,
but he was up against 2 top quality keepers, wasn't he? And I think it was always going to be difficult for him to get to that number 1 spot.
I think that's why sending him out on loan is good, that he's going to make mistakes and have to play next week. I think that's the judge of a goalkeeper. And Lee, when he made his mistake, was young. He played the following week and he was very edgy. I think he made another mistake, and that's, he had to have his time out. But then he needs games again at some point to learn from that situation, and I'm sure he'll get that. And I'm sure he's potentially got the chance to come back here and play for Wigan still.
I've got about 5-10 minutes to go, so anything you really
I was going to, from a totally selfish point of view, is my spare time, I'm a grassroots football coach. I noticed you've got the slogans dotted around. On Saturday morning when I say to my kids, you've said, what slogan should I come out with? What do you think? I've seen unity, strength.
That's not mine.
No. Like Corey Cole says. What advice would you give to kids today in the game?
Work hard work. You don't get anywhere without hard work. So as long as they work hard, and they've got a chance to improve and get better.
Okay.
It's pretty basic, but it goes a long way.
Where did you get to with your coaching badges?
I'm currently on the pro licence. I started that as soon as I got the job. I got on that course, so I've been going. We've had two-day visits. I was in Prague in the summer at the Under-21 Championship with them. So I'm currently doing that. Should be another year probably.
Good luck.
And that's me at the end of that.
I'm not going to go to that level. Quite happy where I am, but it's interesting to know.
Yeah.
Cheers.
How different are the training sessions between yourself now and Roberto when he was the manager?
I obviously learned a lot from Roberto. I came here when I was 28. I'd done quite a lot in Scotland, played for my country and seen quite a lot of football, and didn't think I knew it all, but I thought I'm not going to see much different. You don't see much different in football, and Roberto was somebody that opened my eyes to a different way of playing, a different way of coaching, and I would like to think I've took some of that. If I've not, then I'd be pretty naive and stupid not to have taken some of that. I hope I've still got my Scottish passion and aggression added to that. I don't want to think I'm Spanish and as cool as Roberto is. I hope I've got that still, but I'd like to think I've took some of his tactical influence on the team, the style of play. I'd like to think I've got some of that.
Do you speak to him? Does he contact you and see how things are going on?
Yeah, I still speak to him regular. I spoke to him before I got the job. I still spoke to him. I went to Everton Europa League games. He got me tickets for that, and like I said, he's somebody that had.
I mean, on a professional basis, not on a friend basis. Do you still seek advice there?
Yeah,
or
there's
does he still advise you?
I still speak to a few managers and seek advice from them in certain situations, and yeah, he's one of them.
In terms of January, quite a few of the loans will be starting to run out, I guess. Are you looking to buy more players? Are we going to loan more players? Have you got people in mind who you want to bring in, or positions, or?
There's obviously people the recruitment team are looking at, and I've been to a few games just keeping an eye on players. It's not something that's at the forefront of my mind in terms of we need players. I think we've got a squad, like I said before, that's capable of achieving our goals. So this period is more working with that squad and improving that squad, putting them together and getting them to win games. When January comes, I'm sure it'll all kick off again, as it does in the transfer window. The loan players that we have that might have to go back if we can't renew it, then we'll need to assess that when that time comes. But we'll have players that have been in the system, that have been watched, that are ready to replace those players if they need to go back.
Do you fear anybody going? Do you fear anybody being the target for the Beatles?
No, not at all, no. I don't think we need to sell, do we?
No, not at all.
As a player, Gary, did you always see yourself going into management at the end of it? Or did you ever fancy doing anything else?
No, I always wanted to be a coach or a manager, yeah. From quite a young age, I always thought I'll stay in football and I want to do that. I didn't think I'd get the opportunity so quick. I didn't want my career to end when it ended. I wanted to play till well into my 30s. But you have to just go with what happens. And my second hip operation on my left side, when I got told that, the surgeon said it's in a bad way, then I went straight on the A licence that summer and got my A licence and made sure that I was ready, which at that point was kind of the inevitable. He said, I can fix it, but if you get, I got 4 games I think I played after that, and he said that was probably your lot you were going to get from that. So you just have to go with what you get given in life.
Would you have taken on the player manager role if you could have?
No, you couldn't play and do this at the same time now.
Given that you did play under 4 different managers as a player at Latics, it's going to sound awful, listen. Yeah, well, it is awful, I suppose. When the club first approached you about taking your job on now as a manager, did you look back and think, well, for at least 3 of them I can't be any worse? Well, Uwe, we had a good few months and the wheels came off, and then the next two are best just erased from the history. Did you look back?
I suppose you saw it as a player. You saw it.
Oh yeah, Kyle Lane. Sorry, yeah.
What I will say is it's a hard job. It's a very, very hard job, and everyone has got
But
an
you didn't
opinion.
put you off seeing what they went through, though.
No,
Given
not
that it's
at all.
all floating around themselves.
I was excited and proud to be asked to kind of
So
take us
you
back.
was asked. Did you put yourself forward for it?
No, I got asked. No.
You got asked?
No, I would have put myself forward.
No, we're glad you did ask.
Yeah. No, I was proud and excited at the challenge because, like I said, I had 2 years of being here but not being really able to help. I had a slight input, but now I can help, I can make the difference.
Were you surprised at getting the job full time? Because we all thought that somebody might get it to the end of the season once McCann went, and then of course you were announced as the full-time manager, and it did come as a bit of a surprise to many of us that they would do that, especially with somebody who'd not been in management before.
No, I think that was definitely what I wanted. It was what the club wanted, the stability. You know, to say interim is up in the air and we don't quite know what's happening. I was glad I got the games last season to kind of open my eyes and see the squad, get a feel for preparing the team for games so that I could go into this season. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I had all summer to prepare and plan for it. If I'd just got it then, I would have been a bit more unsure. So those games really helped me and helped me to start this season.
Has it made it easier for you now than as a manager to not have a lot of those players anymore? I know we've still got a small nucleus of what we had last year, but there are so many new players. Has that made the separation easier for you?
I think so, yeah. I think it needed to be done anyway, but the fact that the manager had been a player with them, then even more so, I think it needed to be done to kind of go with the new group, and the players now have only seen me as the manager, none of them have seen me as a Wigan player, so it's made it easier. Last season when I took over, I was in with teammates one day and then I'm in a different change room the next, so it felt okay because they knew my plans, they knew what I wanted to do, and they knew I wasn't going to play anyway, but I think it was needed to be done.
No regrets?
No.
I think from a club point of view this is a rebuilding programme, and you don't do that short term, you have to look long term.
You can't change managers every 9 months.
Absolutely not, no.
No.
Yeah.
Christmas brings eggs.
This is all about stability and long term planning and getting the club back to where we hope that we can reach again.
Jonathan, how come we never did these under Owen and Malkin?
We did.
We did one under Uwe and he hated it, you could tell.
No, we've done it under every single manager. I don't think Owen did one because I don't think
No, we did one with Owen.
Yeah, we did a big one.
We did one of these at the stadium.
Yeah, we didn't do one of these. We've done it under every manager.
I remember doing it with Owen in the dressing room. 100%.
I don't remember. You do one with Owen.
Can I just ask one thing? One of the things that's come to our website, and one thing that's been asked, is this question and answer session, it leads us into this, is that fans have a host of questions to ask and put over to the manager. Now I know that there's the thing with the football liaison people and that meetings that they have regular, but they don't discuss team affairs like we are doing today, things like that. It's one of the suggestions been made is, would it be possible for Latics fans in general to put regular questions forward and be edited by somebody, either the football liaison or one of the editors of the websites, and that could be forwarded to yourselves, that could be answered, they could be looked at in detail. You don't have to make snap decisions about them, you can think about what your answer is going to be, and they can be published somewhere, i.e. on the club's website or in the programme on a regular basis. Is it something that you could look at? I think
this kind of forum attempts to do that by bringing in fanzine editors, website editors, obviously people who have no association to websites, but maybe use social media to ask those questions, and I think this is a smaller version of what you're saying there. I think it's difficult because we've got 6,000 season ticket holders, we've got average crowds of 8,000 to 9,000 now. And we could spend all our time fielding questions.
But we're not asking you to field them. What I'm saying is it could be done through, I assume, are you the football it could be submitted to him, that they could come into you, that are purely football matters as opposed to the meetings that you have now with the fans liaison committee, which are not there.
Yeah, but we have the fans advisory board, which deals with non-football matters, and these forums and the bigger fans forum deal with football matters, where we say you can ask anything you want to either myself or to Gary. Nothing's off limits. You can ask anything about tactics or football. What we can't do as a football club is spend a lot of time dealing with those kind of questions all the time. I mean, it's fantastic to get these kind of conversations and these forums, and also some of the questions are difficult to answer because you don't want to give away too much information to your opposition, and a lot of work that's done is done behind the scenes, and sometimes I'm sure supporters are scratching their head thinking, why do you do that? And you know, you can see it all the time. The manager gets questioned all the time, and it's funny when we were talking about set pieces before. You know, Gary was saying how frustrated he is because we do practice set pieces all the time, but actually when they go wrong, it's the manager gets the blame because, you know, they're not practice set pieces. Well, obviously, you know, as a supporter, you do get frustrated watching it, but there's far more goes on behind the scenes, and it's difficult to be able to give all that information out all the time. Certain elements of it you have to retain it. But I think with the amount of fans forums we did a Twitter fans forum with the chairman recently. We do, I hope, have very good information streams and communication lines with all supporters. But of course, you know, we're always open to ideas about how that can be improved, and you know, I do feel and I hope that the club is very close to its supporters and is never shies away from difficult issues and difficult questions, because we'll always be here to answer them.
Can I ask Gary one last question?
Well, I was going to say, just before you do, Damien, I was going to ask, just to finish up, if we went around the room one last time, as long as you've not got anywhere to rush to, Gary, just do a very quick one question each with maybe a short one-word answer that is required. Starting with you, Dave.
I'm okay.
Go on, Ben. Go on,
Ben. Quite, it should be a bit.
Go on.
Work to injuries at the moment? Is it just McNaughton long term? Are you pretty much full strength for the weekend?
Supposed to be a one-word answer that.
Full strength today. McNaughton's obviously long term, but all the other injuries were back.
Selection headache Saturday then.
Yep.
Good.
No, I'm fine.
How will you feel in summer when Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, England, and Wales and France?
That's not over yet.
Take your wives and girlfriends with you, the Scottish are left.
So this independent Scotland was after.
We might take over the whole island.
I've just mentioned the Rugby World Cup, Gary.
Joel?
Are you going to do fancy dress on Boxing Day?
It's a Wigan tradition.
Superman.
I reckon shorts.
No, shorts. Come on, Rebecca. No.
Yes, one women in my fancy dress, so I want to see you in yours.
Kieran?
What's the odds on you becoming next Scotland manager when Strachan doesn't run?
He'll not do it wrong. He'll still be manager.
Which signing were you most happy to complete in the summer?
Which
signing were you most happy to complete in the summer?
All of them. Trust me, they're hard, very hard, and from my first transfer window, they just take phone calls, and you need the opposition club to be happy, we need to be happy, the agent needs to be happy, the player needs to be happy, his wife needs to be happy. It's just an endless kind of process that once you get it done, it is, you sit back and think, right, well, we had that many, you had to go to the next one and the next one. So as I said, a lot of people worked really hard over the summer, and we've done very well to get the players in that we got, in my opinion.
We've had 62 transactions since January, which I think is probably a record for this club. Ins and outs, including loans. So it's been a very, very busy summer.
What were you thinking inside when David Sharp said we were going to smash the league? When that word came out, what was your reaction inside? Do you agree with him? Do you think, oh my God? Or?
Well, I hope we do. Like that's, and he hopes we do. He's a fan at the end of the day, who is now the chairman of this club. But he's been a fan of this club from a young boy, and a very kind of close fan with his granddad, obviously. And he's seen the highs and the lows, and he wants us to get back there. And he said it. He still tells me he doesn't regret it, but I'm sure he does. It's probably the wrong choice of words. And
It was an informal
yeah,
with fans, wasn't it?
it's been blown up and made into something bigger than it is. But as I've said here, we want to win the league. Smash it, win it. It's the same thing, but he probably regrets it.
The one I was going to ask you before, standard of refereeing, has it gone worse in this league? Because we all think it has. It's atrocious, to be quite honest with you. Do you notice that? I don't want to get you in trouble with the FA, but do you see a difference?
Yeah, I think refereeing at all levels, everyone has kind of an opinion on it. It's a difficult job again to get everything right. Obviously, as you go down the levels, the refereeing probably does get a little bit lower. But I wouldn't say it's that much lower than the Premier League. What I will say is, on occasions, both managers and staff have been angry with the ref, which, if both of them are angry, then he is having a bad day. But we've had that on a few occasions this year. Whereas if it's just one manager, it might be sour grapes or the game's going against you. But on a few occasions this year, both managers have said the ref is poor.
You see that when both sets of fans are booing the referee.
Yeah, then
you know that's a problem.
But I think it is where we are in terms of the league that obviously the refs go up when they do well and come down when they don't.
I think it's easy to criticise referees because it's an incredibly difficult job that they do. But when if you actually have a go at it, and on that pitch, when you've got 22 players all shouting at you, you've got all the crowd screaming at you, you've got two managers criticising every single decision, and these guys, these guys have got jobs at the end of the day outside of football, and they do a full day's work, and then at the end of on a Tuesday night they finish work and they have to go, and we expect them to be expert referees. And I think we're all used to watching TV and seeing action replays and watching Premier League referees, and we expect them to be perfect, and they're never going to be perfect. And I think, and I'm sure managers don't necessarily agree with me on this, but I think that the more that we criticise them and the more that we have a go at them, the less people are likely to take up refereeing, and we'll miss out on good referees who say, do you know what, I'm not going to do that for little money and just to get criticised. And you see it on Match of the Day every single Saturday. The manager comes out and he criticises the referee, and I just think sometimes we just need to take a step back and go, these guys are doing the best job that they can, and sometimes you have to put them a bit of slack, but like you, I share the frustration when they get it wrong.
Jordan learned his lesson. Has Jordan learned his lesson?
I hope so, yeah. It's obviously a harsh lesson to learn.
The Radio Manchester reporter got a shock when you said to him, will it be an arm round? Or you said to him, will it be an arm round the shoulder? No.
You can't do that, you're letting your teammates down, aren't you? And he's a young lad, but it's a harsh lesson to learn, and he was gutted to let his teammates down.
They kicked lumps out of us from the first minute though, that game, and hold them. So
I did say, if you're going to get sent off, then do it properly.
Yeah. Well, but if the referee had done something about the players from the minute one when it first started, then that late challenge, which it was on him at the time, probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, that's going back to what we said earlier about teams stopping us by whatever means, and
we have to be bigger than that. We have to be bigger, and he'll learn from it. He'll be better from it. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Can I have a word with you?
Yeah, of course.